Here we have a review of the DASIN Sagara Sanosuke from the anime Rurouni Kenshin. So for the box, we do have a nice view of the figure on the inside. We do have his name on the front, and I believe the kanji is the symbol that is on the back of his kimono or his robe. For the side, we just have a decorative pattern as well as Kenshin's scar on the back. This is the same design that we see on the Kenshin figures, and then some legal there on the bottom. Here we have the accessories for Sanosuke. So starting on the left, we do have a wood style base and the arms for the stand. This is the same base and arm stand that you do get with the Kenshin figure. We have his big blade sword here. I don't remember if this has a name in the anime. It actually does have a good amount of weight to it, so I'll be curious to see how well he can hold it up. It's not too heavy, but it definitely does have more weight on this end for obvious reasons. But there's nice detailing in this. We do have a bit of like denting or weathering to that, so you can see it's a very used blade, and then the nice texturing on the handle there as well. And then we do have 3 pairs of alternate hands. So we have an open, relaxed hand here, more of a fighting grip style hand there, and then the hands for holding his blade. And then we also have the 4 alternate faceplates. So we do have one that is sort of a smirk and looking to the side, and with these faceplates, it also is the point of connection for that ball joint in the neck. We have a closed eye, sort of like a concentration face there. A smirking, smiling type face. And then a yelling face. And I will say that the paint and the decaling on all of these faces does look really good. It looks very clean, so I'm very happy with that. Now to review the figure. So Sanosuke does have some really nice sculpt in the hair there. Very spiky, and a little bit of detailing there in the back piece. The bandana or headband is not articulated, but it is a flexible plastic, so you can move that around a bit. In terms of his articulation for the head, you can look down about that much. Yeah, about that much. You can look up a fair amount. Rotate to the side. It did just pop right off on me. And do a nice spin there as well. The base of the neck is articulated a bit as well, so you can get a bit more range. This does feel very loose on mine. On the head, it's not unbearable, but it is very loose, just trying to move that around. And for the arms, you can move it up 90 degrees. You can almost do a full 360. It's just the robe here is getting in the way, but the articulation is there. It does have a butterfly joint, so you can move pretty far on across the chest there as well. You have the elbow, hand has a nice rotate and swivel. We do have the bicep rotation there as well. For our waist, so the bandages around his abdomen are sculpted, as well as the wraps on his forearms. Those are sculpted as well. So we can move quite far forward, actually. It's very nice. And you can move pretty far back, but when you do that, you can see that you are exposing the inner mechanics there. So you can move probably about that far back without exposing anything. But you do have very nice ab crunch on that. That's really impressive. Bit of side swivel there. Our legs, not quite 90, and I think it's because the pants are very tight on him. And yeah, you're not really moving. You can move forward a bit more, not so much back, because again, the pants there. Knee, about that much. You do have a bit of hip swivel there. The toe goes down nicely, bit of a crunch there, and some rotation on that. Now for the clothing here, so we do have his kanji symbol on the back. The sewing on the robes and the pants all look very clean. I don't see any issues with it, any sort of loose threads, none of that. So that all looks really good. For the waistband, it is a bit of elastic in there. It doesn't come out too far. You can see just a little bit. But yeah, so if you wanted to remove those for whatever strange reason, you could, but it is elastic in there, so you don't need to untie that. And then there's not a whole lot of sculpting on the body. You have some nice definition in the chest muscles there. This is not bad, I would say, the sculpting on the wraps, but it does look a little awkward, that transition to the top. And they did attempt to do some shading here in the muscles at the top, but it looks more like dirt rather than shading, so it's not the best execution there. And other than that, I'd say it looks pretty good. I did want to pose him with his blade just to see how he does with holding the weight, since it is a bit top heavy, and he actually does fairly well holding it. I will say that you do have to make sure you're balancing the body against the weight of the sword, because he does have very scrawny legs, and if I were to say move this ankle in just a little bit, he's going down. So it's something you just need to be aware of with the posing. You need to balance the weight of the blade against the body, but it works fairly well, so it's not that big of a deal. And also, I did swap out the faceplate while doing this pose to put on the smirking face, and I will say that this head is a lot more snug on that ball, so it's much nicer. So it was just the issue with the original faceplate, and that's because these do attach directly onto the ball there. So it was an issue with one of the faceplates. The others is more snug, so not that big of a deal. Now for our height, Sanosuke does stand just over 6 3/4 inches tall, just shy of 7 inches. Now for our height comparisons, here we have both of the DASIN Rurouni Kenshin figures with the DASIN Sagara Sanosuke. And here we have Sanosuke next to the DASIN Genos from One Punch Man and the Black Series Commander Cody from Star Wars. And here we have them next to the Figure Arts Yuji and Sukuna form from Jujutsu Kaisen and the Figure Arts Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku from Dragon Ball Z. Overall, the DASIN Sagara Sanosuke is a very solid figure. I really love that DASIN is expanding their Kenshin line of figures, and I hope they continue to do so. The articulation on this figure is great, and the clothing and the sculpt look fantastic as well. Now where I think this figure falls a little bit short is with the balance. Having that very top-heavy sword with those scrawny legs, which I know is true to the character, does make him a bit wobbly at times. So I wish there was a bit more weight to those legs just to help counter out that balance. Additionally, the shading on the upper part of the chest is a bit lackluster, and he also has very large ball joints for the wrists, which is a little unsightly when looked at up close. But again, this is a very solid figure, and if you're collecting the Kenshin line from DASIN, I definitely recommend adding this one to the collection.